Hey, I'm Bruce Netter. Welcome to the Boomer Consumer Channel. This is going to be a fun video because I have a new studio monitor from Edifier. And I got to tell you, I love Edifier products because they're well made, they sound great, and they don't charge an arm and a leg for their stuff. And that's what's important. And this is it, the new MR3 studio monitor. So this is described as an active speaker, but in monitor mode, it's flat frequency response between 52 hertz to 40 kilohertz. So the idea is this is perfect for audio editing, if you're creating music, that kind of thing. Maybe you're editing video and you're paying close attention to the audio. You could use it as a desktop computer speaker. Just so many uses for these speakers. And the price is only $119. Now, as of today, I checked, they're out of stock on these, but a link is down below, and I think you can, sign up to be when there's more available. But besides the point, these come available in two colors, white and black, and we're going to go into some more detail about this right now. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what comes in the box. So they come double box, which is really nice. They're very well protected, by the way. Each speaker is individually wrapped up for protection. And then you also get a quick start guide. You get, I think, about 12 foot of a very thin speaker wire, a 3.5 millimeter to RCA cable, and then a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter cable. That's like an auxiliary cable. And finally, you get a power cord. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the basic construction of the MR3s. Nice MDF material on there. Feels pretty solid. The whole thing, I think, weighs maybe 4 or 5 pounds. It's not very heavy. You got a plastic front baffle on here. 1-inch silk dome tweeter with a dimple wave guide. Right? Okay, and then you get a 3.5-inch mid-bass driver. And it's the surround on that. Kind of looks like carbon fiber. I'm not sure. Couldn't find anything in the documentation. On the bottom left-hand corner of this is the main speaker. This is where the one plugs into the wall, by the way. You get a headphone jack on here. There's an auxiliary input. And then you have this multifunction switch on the front. And that's to power it off and on. And then adjust the volume, as well as 3 different sound modes. Monitor mode, there's a music mode, and then there's the custom mode. On the back, you got this nice port on here, and then you have some of the controls. And this can be used either without the Connex app from Edifier or with the app that gives you some more functionality. And the whole thing measures about 5 inches in width, about 8.7 inches tall, about 7.25 inches in depth. And like I said, I think it weighs maybe about 4 or 5 pounds. It's not real heavy. This is going to be perfect for putting on like your desktop because it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. Okay, so since this is a teleprompter-free video, I have to make notes sometimes on all the features that something has. Else I might forget to talk about it. First off, this does come with 3 different sound modes, right? So there is monitor mode. That's going to give you a flat frequency response. Then there's music mode, and then there's a custom mode. But I think the custom mode only works if you're connected via Bluetooth. You get into some more advanced settings that way. Comes with Bluetooth 5.4, and according to the documentation, the only codec that it does support is SBC. I didn't see anything about aptX or LDAC. Now, I have written to Edifier for clarification about that, but that is what the documentation says. Of course, you get the dimple wave guide, what they call acoustic room compensation. And the bottom line is that is really just a bass and treble control, because what it does is plus or minus 6 dB at 125 hertz and 10 kilohertz. And there's knobs on the back, which we're going to go over all those in just a moment. Then there's, if you use the app, there's a what's called a low cutoff, which is frequencies between 20 to 100 hertz, and you can adjust the slope between 6 to 24 dB. Again, this is in the Connex app. Desktop control, which gives you a 4 dB cut at 20 or 200 hertz. to reduce reflected sound waves. So when you've got this basically sitting on a desktop, it kind of reduces some of that rumble, although I never noticed that. And I tend to play my music pretty doggone loud with these things. It'll hit up to 92 dB. All right, because these are 18 watts, and of course I haven't mentioned this, but these are 18 watts per channel Class D amplification. It also comes with TRS balanced inputs as well as RCA single-ended inputs, Bluetooth, and it's also a multi-point connection, so you can connect more than one different device to it at a time. Now let's take a look at the rear of the MR3. So on the back, you have a button to turn the Bluetooth off and on, put it into pairing mode, etc. Then you have the manual bass and treble controls. Then you have your TRS balanced inputs, an RCA input, speaker outputs. I thought I hadn't seen those in a while. Hey, the 60s called, they went through speaker inputs or outputs back. And of course, for a power cord. So there's no power brick, it's internal power supply with the MR3s. Okay, let's go over the Connex app just a little bit. It's very easy to pair these up with Bluetooth. And when you do, you're going to get the home screen. You'll see the actual MR3s on here. You have a screen for the acoustic tuning and desktop control. And then your custom effects mode. And they call it sound effects. I call it equalization. And it looks like a graphic equalizer. You can create your own custom tuning for this. And of course, you also have volume control on there. So it's a relatively basic set of controls with the app. Here's how I set this up. I have a very inexpensive topping DAC, the DS10's USB powered, plugged into a Mac Studio. And out of the back of the DAC, I use just a standard pair of RCA cables going right into the back of the MR3. And it just performs beautifully. As a desktop computer speakers. And so that's what I used to audition and review the sound quality of the MR3s. Let's do a quick demo of some royalty-free music so you can kind of get an idea how these might sound. Okay, so what did I use? Again, I used Mac Studio with Apple Music. I had ripped a bunch of FLAC files, a lot of albums to FLAC, and the first album that I listened to was America's Homecoming album, and the track Ventura Highway. It's just really was a huge song. Still is popular, played a lot. Excellent imaging and sound stage. Of course, you listen. These are near field. That's what these are designed for, is to be up close to them. So these things image very, very well. The sound stage was nice and wide on there. No issue with that whatsoever. These are not going to be a bass monster, okay? They're only a 3.5-inch mid-bass driver. So you understand that. But, you know, it's serviceable. It works, and I think these are a good all-rounder. But the idea, of course, in monitor mode is to have a flat frequency response. And that's what audio editors and engineers want. The vocals, I felt, were a bit relaxed. And by the way, I used a combination monitor mode, music mode, and even custom modes listening to this. And honestly, I found if just boosting just the bass a little bit and cutting back the treble just a smidge on the back was more than good enough for me. And I tried all 3 different modes. Right? I did not notice any different really effect by changing it from monitor to music or to custom if I wasn't connected to Bluetooth. There was a bit of a difference if you enable that desktop compensation setting in the app. As far as the mid-range is concerned, I just felt they were a little bit too relaxed, a little bit too not forward, just in quite enough, I guess is the best way to put it. Relax, I guess is the best way to put it. But the highs were very crisp and not fatiguing at all. You can listen to these things for hours and hours and you're just not going to feel all worn out by listening to it. Another album that I really like, just got this, Kenny Burrell's Midnight Blue and the track Mule. Okay, so the bass was definitely a lot stronger on Mule, but still not very deep. All right, it's just not going to be very deep. Again, you got that 3.5-inch mid-range driver, but the electric guitar on there sounded really, really live, and then the saxophone kicked in, and wow, that did it for me. It just sounded really incredible. These really blew me away. Honestly, they really blew me away because I was not expecting that level of sound quality out of a very inexpensive set of studio monitors, but I was absolutely shocked how well these performed, given the price, given the size. Everything about these, Edifier really knocked it out of the park. So I think at this point we'll just go over the pros and cons of these. Okay, as of today, here's the pros. First thing, I think it's got pretty good build quality. These should hold up for a long, long time. I think they sound great. The price is very reasonable, 120 bucks. I think they look nice in white or black. You can accommodate different sources on here, and it's a multi-use product. You can use it for video editing, you can use it for audio editing, you can just listen for music, you can use it in computer speakers. You know, if you had like a powered, or a turntable, it's already got its own preamp, plug that into it, and off you go. There's a lot of uses. You can plug headphones into them. So these are highly adaptable to a lot of different use cases. Cons. All right. Like I said, hey, Edifier, the 60 called. They want these little clippy type speaker cables, speaker outputs. They want them back. I did not see any support for LDAC or aptX or any high-res sources on there. However, on the back, you have a high-res music logo. I'm assuming that's due to the Class D amplification chips, and if you have a high-res source plugged in, that's what they were referring to. The bass and treble control on the back, no, that should be a lot more accessible. I would actually kind of have those on the front. So maybe the next iteration, put your bass and treble controls on there rather than us having to fish around in the back and try to make those adjustments, okay? Lack of a source selector. No source selection on here. It's just whatever is playing is going to come through the speaker. Now, I normally donate my gear to charity when I'm done reviewing it, if I'm allowed to keep it, or to a family member. I don't try to profit off of this stuff at all. But that being said, once in a while I just run into a piece of gear and I think, you know what, I'm just going to keep that and use that in creating videos or for, for reviews, etc. I'm going to go ahead and hang on to these. These are going to be at home on my desk. So in my opinion, these are a keeper. Given the size, the performance of them, I just think they're a very high value speaker, and I think they're worth every doggone penny. Your opinion may differ. I'm not an expert. I've just been around hi-fi for 50 years. I know what sounds good to me, and hopefully you will feel the same. Bruce Naylor, the Boomer Consumer, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.